Hello, Victoria.
Hi, Aaron. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited.
Me too.
I yeah, we were just talking about like I'm so excited that that there's a community of people who enjoy the same stuff we do. It's kind of
Oh,
I'm always shocked that there are people who will dedicate 6 p.m. on a Wednesday to come learn moving from Sheets to Airtable. So I will start by saying thank you for joining and thank you as well. I'm so excited about this. How was your Thanksgiving break?
it
Let's
was
start
really,
there.
yeah, it was really restful and peaceful and relaxing. I don't know if I told you I was playing Assassin's Creed like the entire time, which was a lot of fun. It was like I don't have to worry about going to work, just can play this game forever. How was yours?
So for folks who don't know, Victoria's out of New York. She's a CSM at Airtable, and I'm currently based in Canada. So I had American Thanksgiving off, but I am the only person here who had those days off, which was great because I could like just take advantage of like empty streets. But it was also kind of boring because like I obviously picked up a new pet project, which is configuring little Arduino boards and learning how circuits work and things like that. I
Why are they
will if
called Arduino boards?
so Arduino maybe probably not of interest to everyone, but we'll get into Airtable in like 2 minutes, I promise to everyone. But I do so Arduinos are essentially like circuit boards that you can program from your computer. So you can do things like when this button is pressed, do that. And so it's kind of fun. I've always wanted to do home automation, and they make it really simple. In that you just need to learn a little bit of C++, and yeah, it's like really simple. You can do really cool stuff. You can interact. So like I have a lot of equipment here to run this stream. I'm realizing now that I could have built it all myself for much cheaper than what it is. But yeah, so Sean, our colleague, kind of got me into it and said that this was the easiest. So one day maybe I'll stream some home automation with Arduino. So it's actually super cheap. Like one of these costs like $5.
Really?
And
Oh,
yeah. So if you have kids and you want to get them into like LEDs or really simply in like 10 minutes you can build like a little robot that goes forward and back with a joystick. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. So I don't know if anyone's ever played with an Arduino. Let me know in the chat, or any. It's so geeky. It's so much fun. You know. So I will be when I build this keyboard, I will send it to you. I'll promise you that. I'll send you like a built version that you can use if you want.
really?
Yeah. So
Amazing.
I don't want to say like, oh, I'm sending you because I'm cheap and it doesn't cost much, but it was so surprisingly easy to build.
Yeah.
I haven't built it in my defense. So for folks who's just joining, I'm building a little like macro keyboard that will let me do shortcuts in Airtable on the stream.
Are you gonna
And
hook it up with what do you guys call it? Not Jeeves. What is it? Butler?
oh, Alfred.
Alfred.
Yeah,
Alfred.
totally. Uh, you know,
Here, I'll put in the chat what we're talking about.
yeah. So, yeah, so we can definitely use Alfred with it, but ultimately it kind of replaces Alfred almost because Alfred is like
Oh,
contextual. Like it gives me like shortcuts, but here if I'm in Airtable, I can be like go into Airtable shortcut mode, and then if I'm on the stream, I can click a button that says, okay, now I'm in the stream, and like control my stream. Yeah, if you have an Arduino kit, like honestly, if you want, I am new to this, and I am totally into learning how to use Arduinos and like maybe I'm a child, but like the idea that I can control an LED and like change the circuit is super fun. So and yeah, maybe next week or in a couple weeks when I've got it built, and I'll definitely send you one. I'll definitely send you one,
thank
and
you.
I'd love to know what you build with it, what
Yeah,
shortcuts you're gonna use.
That's true. I have to think about that. I don't really, yeah. I don't really, I've never thought about automating my home. I do, I mean, I do like I have one Google light. That's about it. I'm just like, turn my light on, turn my light off, turn my TV on, turn my TV off. That's about it.
Yeah. Honestly, I'll be honest, this is not the most useful project I've ever taken on. Like, this is
But
just
it's
purely,
fun. That's what matters.
it spends the time and we've got nothing else to do. But folks other people have busy lives. We don't. So I do want to get to today's topic. So, maybe by way of, like, for folks who don't know Victoria, you're a customer success manager at
Yeah,
Airtable. Give us a quick intro, and then I'll kind of introduce our topic for today.
sure. Welcome back to everybody who's been here before and has seen me before. I work with Aron. I have the pleasure of working with Aron at Airtable. I am a customer success manager, so I work with our enterprise clients to help them understand how they can use Airtable to make their business lives easier. So what that looks like from transferring old processes that were on Excel to Airtable, or even thinking about how Airtable can be used for novel and new use cases. Anything far in between, just making sure that people are happy using the tool. Yeah, that's about it.
Also, an amazing base designer, great developer, right? Forgetting all the, Victoria's who everyone goes to see when, like, you don't know how to structure a base. So I'm excited about this one. We've got a particularly, no, I wouldn't say difficult, but we got Cédric. So I'll be saying it, I'll be transferring into my French accent when I say his name. Cédric should be in the chat. Works at a camper van dealership. So essentially we're going to be helping him, or helping the car dealership, kind of think about what would a structure look like on Airtable. And we've got Cédric in the chat. We're not gonna build the whole thing, but really just thinking around, like, they use sheets actually in a very structured way, and that's what's interesting. It's not like a janky sheet. I said that for marketing purposes. It's like a very strong sheet, but it's really hitting the walls of what a sheet can do, right? Because data is kind of siloed. So we're going to kind of just start building potentially what a similar structure could look in a relational database, and what kind of those advantages are. But I think the hardest part when you've got, I don't know about you, what you think, Victoria, but you've got like an entrenched sheet, just migrating it feels like a really daunting task because you don't know the structure that'll make sense. So our goal for today will be at least to, like, here's what a semblance of structure would look like, and here's why we're thinking of structuring it in that way. And I know you have experience. You've seen your fair share of migration from Sheets to Airtable.
Yeah. I actually went through this today. It's a very, very complex spreadsheet with a lot of macros getting fed in from different data warehouses, like from Power BI. I think that the most useful thing that we did today was actually, step back and say, okay, forget about how this sheet is structured and how this range links to this one and what this VLOOKUP is, and really tell me how someone comes in here and how they use this day to day, and what is the starting point of this process, and what's important to get it to the end. And I think that's like kind of a CSM or kind of any Airtable consultant's home base is, tell me what you're trying to do and what you want to accomplish. And then from there, we can step back and say, this is how we can structure it. And the plus is having a sheet that's already so structured. The core of what you probably want to do is already well situated.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, unfortunately, you're gonna have to kind of talk through me to Cédric and what I know of his process. But we've got him in the chat, awesome. And I do agree with you. Like, starting from, like, what data is the ultimate, the last point almost. Like, what is the structure? What are you hoping to do? What are you hoping people to put in? And then design your base and then input the data when necessary. So with that, without further ado, my expression of the week, let's jump in to, there's going to be a little bit of magic I need to make happen here. So I need to share my screen with you. So let's change the scene, share my screen with you. There we go.
All right.
Now I need to move you in the right place. There we go. All right. So we are looking at Cédric's sheet. Okay, and I'll talk through it the best way that I can.
Yep.
Let me close this behind. Okay, let's just move this out the way. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay. So my understanding is that they are a car dealership or a camper van dealership, and they sell certain models. So they've got a profile, an integral, a familiar, and a version. So those are the kind of groupings of types of cars, right? And then those cars have kind of like a base price. So you can buy a profile, you can buy an integral, you can buy a familial. And for each one of those, you can then start kind of thinking of add-ons. So feature one is an add-on for the profile, and their features are consistent across each one. So if you go here, it's also feature one, but some are available per car and some are not.
So when we have column D, is that showing me that it's available for a certain type of car?
This one I would ignore. I remember Cedric said we don't care about that one. That was like you have to change it at the dealership, not as important. Here, white means optional, black means included, and dash means unavailable. And I think this is one of those things that like maybe I'm new at this company. Why would dash mean unavailable? Just feels like it should be unavailable. So again, something we can fix with like proper single selects, right? Feels natural. And these are all the models of the car, right?
Sorry,
so we've got
black is standard, or black is,
let's say black is standard. Let's say black is, included. This is optional. And then they have prices, right? For the options. Models are further right. Oh, these are the models. Okay, got it. Whatever, same thing. Ultimately, it's the same process. So they've got different models. Things can be included. They can be optional. And so talk me through what you're thinking, Victoria. I've got some thoughts, but I feel like you have more thoughts.
All right. So from what I understand, in terms of the objects that we're dealing with, and why I'm saying objects is because we're trying to think of like what are the kind of like the list or the items that we're tracking, and then the details about those items. And those are eventually going to become our tables. So it looks like we're already tracking. One thing I'm a little unclear on is we're tracking like the familial, I would say I wouldn't want to call it the make, but I would call it like make, model, trim. So maybe it's model and trim, right?
Yeah. So this would be trim, right? So how like, are we talking a 12-seater, a 6-seater, or a 4-seater, or just like, maybe the general, what would you call that? I don't have a car.
I'd switch it around. So I would call it, it is really well structured. I agree. I would call it the model is the profile, the integral, the familial, and the other thing. And then I would say the trim is all of the different types of options that you can get, right? So like if you buy a car, you can get the sport version, you can get the luxury version, you can get the the economy version, whatever that would be. And to me, that's what I'm seeing over all the way to the right of this sheet, where we've got brand one version, whatever.
Oh no, why can't I move? That's weird. I can't like scroll through. Here we go. Okay.
Did you, what is it?
Insert. Scroll lock. Yeah, I pressed scroll lock.
I haven't
to refresh?
I haven't thought about scroll lock in like years. No, I think you press scroll lock again. Oh
no, I'm still on scroll lock. See, I think this is reason enough to stop using sheets.
Migrate away from Excel.
My God, I'm like, whatever. I will deal with this. Okay. What did I press?
So we see like brand 1, 2, brand 3, model 1, brand 3, model 2. So what does it say? Contrast. What is that word, Aron, in front?
This one right here? Mm-hmm. These are just constraints, which means like these are comments or notes.
Got it.
So I think you're right. So
I'm trying to figure out what the biggest bucket is, and then what are the smallest buckets underneath, or what are the smallest items is. So it looks like the model, profile, integral, all of that is the bigger bucket. And then within each model, there are these kind of like sub models or trims, is what I was calling them.
Right,
And then
right.
each trim has its layer of options and standards and unavailabilities of features. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, I think that's about right, right? And I think what I want to emphasize here is that those models are going to shift depending on the type of car dealership, right? So you can imagine like it seems like this is relatively standard,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like you have a model and then you have a trim. That trim can have some options or not,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if you're a car dealership that's like selling hundreds of thousands of different cars, like brand might be something that you're tracking, so it might be a little bit different depending on what it is you're tracking. How do you, Victoria, kind of think about
Hey,
generally?
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
you had
No,
a
the
you had a
question
thought.
you asked is I mixing up words like versus manufacturer and brand and model. So I think I get it now. So this is a dealer of of manufactured of like brands that already exist.
I think so, right?
Uh,
So I think so. Cedric, tell us. So trim. I think what we're saying is like you've got a type of car, right? So this is like what you're saying. You're calling it a model, right?
yeah, yeah. I originally was calling it a model, but I like recently just changed my head what I think this is. So Cedric, sorry. How do you say this, Aaron? um, what I would think is more so like these are the categories of cars or these are the classes of cars, right?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So it's class. This
Okay,
is the
class.
hardest part of any meeting. Yeah, is the naming. Yeah, class, make, and model. So we've got class, and then we've got makes, and we have models, and then we have features that what I think the dealership is trying to say is these are standardized features that you can find on uh, any single automobile, right? All
Right.
automobiles have AC. Some have power windows, some have manual windows, some have
Right.
heated seats, some don't. And like Audi may call its seats like gel heated
Yeah.
German
Whatever.
seats,
Whatever.
and Toyota might just call theirs heated seats. But for the dealerships, all intents and purposes, is yes, exactly taxonomy. It should just be heated seats. So, so okay, I think what the buckets or the items that we're tracking here are we're tracking classes of vehicles, then we're
Right.
tracking the make of the vehicle, then we're tracking the model of the vehicle, and then we're tracking features that every vehicle can have.
You're gonna have to go a little slower for me. I
No
am.
worries.
So we've got class. We've got
Class,
make.
make, which is brand. Make is brand.
Okay.
And then we have model, which is like a Honda CRV or a Honda Accord, right?
Got it.
And then we have uh,
Features.
features,
Okay.
heated seats.
Okay. I think for simplicity, do we feel like we can cut out the brand, or no, they've got brand here, right? So brand is
Mm-hmm.
important, and they've got
Mm-hmm.
model, right? So they've
Mm-hmm.
got brand one, brand two, model one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we've got the buckets here,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you come in, you're gonna say, okay, what? So this is how I like to think about it, is a little different. Of like, I come into this dealership, they're gonna be like, do you have a family you need to move? What are you, one person? And they're gonna go through these sheets
Yeah.
of like, okay, you're a small one. Okay, what type of car? What brands do you know? Like I'm gonna have a Civic, and then you're like, okay, in the Civic we have these 3 or 4 brands. I'm gonna pick one, and then at that point they're like, okay, here are the options that are like available for that specific Civic. So we're kind of
Yeah.
like, you start here in the sheets, then you go into the first part of this bucket, right, to know which brand you want. And then within the brand, you find the model, and then the person will be like, here are the options. So we're almost like
Yes.
triangulating. We're going to different places in this sheet to
This is
find
a,
the information.
this is a perfect example of a spreadsheet like marauding as a database and doing a
Right.
pretty good job of it if it can. But what it's really doing is providing a really nice visual layer for someone to see
Right.
exactly uh, how exactly things line up. So we're looking at this more of like a matrix than we are really like how data is really or how these features, brands, makes are related to each other. And so this is one of the things I run into all the time with spreadsheets, is more so like spreadsheets are a great way to draw in all intents and purposes, but draw tables. But it's not necessarily giving you the power to manipulate what you want to see or drill down to what you want to see once you kind of drawn that beautiful table out. So right now this is structured really, really nicely in terms of how someone can use this and you quickly see what features are available, but it's not necessarily, if we wanted to load this into like what someone's saying about filtering to down what we're looking for, being able to do that, or able to send this off to another system that could read it. Those are kind of the limitations of using it as a UI layer versus structuring your data in a way that it can.
I totally agree. And I think, you can see the limitation because like there's only so many dimensions you can kind of drill into, right? So let's say this other sheet actually potentially has all the same features, but you can't compare. Right? You can't create another dimension across all of those selection points. What I mean by that is like your first class, you can't be like, okay, well, create another kind of row here that is class and then duplicate all the rows, and it creates these really, really annoying database. And what's funny, aside here, and I promise we're going to get to the base in a minute, but like I remember my old job, I used to work as an actuarial analyst, and we'd actually be working with like semi reasonable databases like this. But then whenever you were like, okay, we need another dimension, you'd be like, oh no, I need to like copy paste all this information and put another key, and I need to remember everything that relies on this. And it was like the worst thing ever. That's it. That's my story. And now I work for Airtable. I know. Things work out.
No, I can imagine if you had Airtable during that, when you're trying to do that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think as a lot of people, I think of every down system that relied on that sheet. I was an intern at that time, and the idea of like changing the sheet was extremely stressful.
Yeah.
Right. Because I could almost like imagine like the CEO being like, who broke it? And I'd be like, me. So
Airtable basically all the time.
Okay. So just wrapping up like kind of our thought process, and then we can start building out the basis with like summary, but like pieces, just because I think people will be surprised to know that building an Airtable base involves 25 minutes of talking before actually getting into the base, which is usually the case.
Yeah.
So we've got class.
You have to figure out what you're trying to do before you do it.
Totally. I agree. So class is that general type of car. And then we're saying after that, it's going to be this on the top, right? Which is kind of like a brand.
Yep. Well, not, yeah. Yeah. Brand or make. And
then model.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Model.
And then features.
Okay. Where do we...
One question is like, what do we want to know about, like, we don't really need to know much about classes. And like, that's the case when we want to talk about like, should this be a single select or should this be a linked record? Should it be a table?
Yeah.
Like, what do we really want to know about classes beyond that there is a class?
For me, I totally agree with you. I think model is kind of our key here in the sense of like brand as well. Maybe I think brand for these purposes can actually also be a single select, right? So when I think of a car, I want like I wish I knew more about cars. I know very little about cars. I don't own one or want to own one, but like a CRV, I know it's like a Honda CRV,
right?
And I know that's, are there like different classes? Probably. Right? So I don't need to know like more dimensions along the class.
The one thing, yes.
Am I wrong about that?
No, I agree with you. I think let's be simple here. And if we find out that we're going to need a linked record, it's very easy in Airtable to change it.
Right.
So let's go ahead, and I think starting with models and starting with features. So we should definitely have a table of models.
Yes, I agree. And a table of features. I agree. Okay. So let's first go models.
Yep.
And then we'll build out features, as we get there. So clearly we're going to have a brand for each model, right? That feels like a good first step.
Yeah.
What else should we track for models? I'm just going to delete everything.
Are you gonna make an Arduino shortcut for that?
I will. Should I?
To delete the first three columns, the first three
Would you,
fields.
Victoria, if you want a shortcut, I will build you a shortcut.
Yeah, I'll do that one. Okay, so yeah, do one for class. It should be a single select because we only got 4 classes to choose from. There's a finite number of classes.
Yeah, so profile. So just for folks, like we're saying that because all these sheets are structured the same, this actually becomes a selector, right? So we can just say like, okay, what type of car are you looking for? It can be, wait, I already forgot. What was it? Profile, integral, intégral, as we would say in French Canadian. Familial. Did anyone dare laugh at my French Canadian accent on the stream? I will get angry. Version. There we go. Okay. So returning that. Cedric, you can't laugh at my accent. It's unfair. Okay, it's okay. Okay, so class, right? So we're saying what type of car is this?
Yeah. And then
brand. And we can kind of we've not copy paste. Oh, I'm still on brand 1, 2, 3. Let's just give it brand. So another single select. I'm not talking about it. Let's talk about it. Brand 1, brand 2, brand 3.
Okay, and then so we're in models. So what we can show here is like how no, we don't know.
Oh, right. This is you're right. Okay. So let's give an example.
So what I would a familial brand 2. And here's where we want to, like, structured data is my favorite kind of data. I don't know how better to say that. So the
Make a shirt. Structured data is my favorite data.
So the thing is that here we want to make sure that our name, our primary key, is structured, right, in a way that makes sense. And one thing that will make sense is for us, we're always going to track a model and a brand. A class and a brand. That's going to make our model. Like a model, it equals a combination of class and brand. And so that, therefore, our model name should be a combination of class and brand. And we can make that via a formula. So Aron's writing now is he's writing a concatenation formula, which we do pretty often. And we'll say, okay, what's the class and what's the brand? And depending on what's most important to you, you can do whichever one you put first. But now, as he adds more classes and brands in the next 2 rows, you'll see that those names immediately pop up. And so we don't have to think about what should that be called. Taxonomy, basically. We kind of fix that and make that predictable and repeatable, I would say.
Right. Do we, so that last kind of like, how do I differentiate? So let's say I had familiar here. So I could have, a brand with twice the same class. So, right, like 2 minivans from BMW, but I would need to differentiate them based on a name, right? So we should have some kind of concept of name here. So like,
you could put a name, I guess, if you wanted.
Would that make sense? Or do you feel like, maybe Cedric will know this better, but like when I think of a car, this is at the minivan level, like the size of the car.
Right. Yeah.
And then we would have like the brand name, so we can car name.
Yeah.
Man, people who actually use cars are gonna laugh at our like.
The names are colored cell, is what he said. So if we go back to the sheet.
The colored cell. This one right here?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So we're saying the same thing. So so you're gonna have a name here, but we're just kind of saying brand 3 model 1. We're putting it here, but we're gonna give it a name as well, right? Mm-hmm. So you can say I want a BMW. Okay, cool. So let's call this like car name 1, name 2, name 3, and then I'm gonna add it to here as well, right? So to make sure that this is unique.
So what Aron's trying to do is just make sure that we don't have duplicates or everything's unique.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So now we've got our models in there. Now we want to start thinking about our features.
Yeah. So I imagine, so we can almost see this as like a base price, right? So if I just want to come in here and say like, okay, I want, familial brand two, name one, like I can have a bunch of feature, everything that is at that level of the car, I can keep, right?
Yeah.
I don't
We're
know.
gonna need,
What did I do?
we're gonna need a junction table.
I
And
know
a
we're
sh-
gonna do a junction
I
table. I know.
realized.
No, are you not excited about the junction table?
No, I'm not. But yeah, we could do it. We have to do it.
Why? I feel like it's easy. Okay. Well, let's get there. People are
Yeah.
getting worried now. Let's get there before. So, what else are we gonna track at the car level?
At the car level, the bill. So what I just realized about needing a junction table is that this is like what you were saying about a base price. If somebody wants to build their own, we're going to need to track the build that they want to create. And so we're going to need to track, okay, what's the build of the model, but then what are the features you want? And is it an optional
Right?
feature or is it
Yeah.
a,
That's where I think we should be going. Right. So I think we build the models, we build the features that are possible, and then we have a build table where you say what car do you want, what features do you want, and it spits out a price. Right? Does that feel
it
like
does.
too
I
much
think,
work?
no, that feels perfect. The thing that's giving me pause is figuring out how do I tell which one's optional for a specific build, like for a specific
Well,
make model.
well, you would have a junction table, just as this is a junction table. No? I feel like we're like thinking in advance. How about we cross that bridge? Do we feel like we can cross the bridge when we get there?
Let's do
Let's
it.
let's remove the price for now. Let's remove the price. We don't need that
Okay.
right now. We can either
Okay.
use this table as our kind of card table, but let's continue with our features. Right?
Okay.
That feels like a good next step.
I think so.
Okay. So we were kind of doing some like mental gymnastics there to see where we were going. So features.
I looked at the map and got scared.
So tell me, let's talk about features.
Yeah. So every feature here is something that could be included in a car. So here we've got feature one.
Yeah.
And then there's also the part about it being, depending on which make and model it's for, it being an option. So here, uh, yeah, we can go ahead, add back to the base Aron and just add these features in as the feature name.
Okay. So like this.
Yeah.
So we're
Perfect.
saying, okay, we're just going to do it. Let's just do 5 for
And
simplicity's
so
sake.
let's actually build this spacing correctly so we can talk about why.
Okay.
So if go back to models and we want to say model one, right? And oh, and yeah, exactly, and create a linked record to features.
Okay. So what are you trying to
What
say
I'm
that
what
like,
I'm trying to say is that like we can say that name car one would have features 1, 3, and 5, right? Or there has the option to have features 1, 3, and 5.
yeah,
I
totally. Boom.
want I want car two to have features 1, 2, and 3,
Yep.
and
Boom.
car three to have 2, 4, and 6, right? Whatever it might be.
No, I'm following exactly. Here you go. Boom. Okay. Done.
So like the problem that we run into, right, is talking about, okay, well, which features are optional for this
Right.
like template that someone wants to choose, and if somebody wants to create their own build, how do they know what they can take out because it's an option versus what is actually going to come because it's standard or it's required. So we
Right.
don't have enough. We don't have we don't have enough qualifiers or identifiers to do that right now, but this would be like the most natural thing that you'd want to do. So what we actually really have here is like the beginning of our build table, right? Where in our
Yes.
build table, we can actually assign, and so let's go ahead and, do you want to delete that or do you want to keep that here?
I want to spend just like a little second to why would you create a table based on the intersection of two existing tables? And I know that sounds like very like big wordy, right? But essentially, anytime you have a piece of information, in this case, we're saying these features are related to this car. But we're saying the intersection of those two things, the features that are available for this car require additional information. You should create a new table. Just like, let's say we want to track additional information for a list of clients for which we only have the name as a single select. We'll turn it into a linked record to track additional information. A junction table is simply saying that that table will contain information around two existing pieces of information, namely cars and their features. So kind of more, again, just wordy here is that when you get to a sheet and you're saying, I have multiple dimensions, I have this dimension, I have this dimension, and I have the feature itself, and I have this status. Well, that usually tells you that you're going to need a junction table. And I know that junction tables are this very worrying word, but they're actually relatively simple because they're always structured the same way. So with that said, tell me how we built this infamous junction table.
I'm going to drop the many relationships article in the chat because I actually really like this article from Airtable. And if anybody wants to understand a little bit more about what we're talking about, I think this is a really great start. What we want to do here is there's actually a couple of things, Aron, that's going through my head. One is do people make custom builds or like scratch that?
No,
scratch that. let's just go to the build table. So let's create a table called build.
Actually, I'm excited to see where you go with this. So here we go until we get a shortcut.
Yeah. And what we want to do is we want to say, okay, for this specific model, so we want to get a linked record to model. I want these specific features.
So, okay, yeah. So this is going to be another, features. Right?
Exactly. And then I want it to be either, I want to say whether it's standard, required, optional, or not an option.
Usage? I'm bad at this. Type?
Yeah, type.
Type. No, not a single line type.
A single select. Availability. Thank you.
Availability, much better. My God.
We're Airtable experts, not English experts. Even though my degree was. Don't let my mother hear me say that.
We had the French guy was like, this is the word you should use. Okay, so we're saying standard, optional, unavailable.
Yes.
No, we don't need unavailable. Do we need unavailable?
We do need unavailable.
Unavailable.
Oh, we don't need unavailable. Right. You're right. We don't need it.
We don't need it? Okay. There you go.
So we're going to show you why we actually just put it in there so we can show why we'll never need unavailable. Thank you for humoring me.
Yeah.
So what I was saying before about a junction and about standardizing your information more applies actually to this junction table. So as you see, why it's called a junction is because we brought both tables into this table, and this table is acting as the traffic cop in between them. So if Aron selects one model and then he selects one feature, we know that this feature is for this specific model and that there's more information about that we want to know, like it's a standard feature.
Yeah, let's actually, let me map it to the, so let's say we take brand 1, model 1, feature 1. We're saying that this is, let's say black is standard.
Yeah.
Right? So here we're saying take one more, profile. I don't know if we're going to have it. So you're taking profile, you're taking brand 1, model 1, feature 1. So let's imagine this one is brand 2. So let's get, and this is what another thing that, so we can say brand familial. We don't have it, but whatever. People will get it. Feature 1 is standard. So when you're migrating, you're going to have to actually like migrate each one of these things. You can do a few things to make that easier, and then one by one saying like, okay, well, feature 2 on that same make is optional. So if we take that same thing, we're taking this one, we're going to feature 2, and we're saying that that's optional, so on and so forth for every single possibility of that table. And you may say like, okay, well, that feels like a lot of work, but you already do that work, right? So when you cycle through the sheets, we're doing the same thing, and this will ultimately make selecting your information and updating your information much easier.
Aaron, if you could build up this table a little bit more, I want to show like
Sure.
how grouping makes it a breeze.
Right. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Let's do it. So let's go. I did name 1, feature 1. So there's probably going to be another familiar name 1, feature 3, so on and so forth. So let me just expand that. And then I need feature 4, feature 5, feature 6. And then let's just say that these 2 are unavailable.
No. Oh.
No?
No.
Well,
So the reason we don't need to make it unavailable is we just don't need to have those records, right?
right,
So
right.
like those records just don't need to exist anymore, because what we're doing is we're transitioning from the table that we drew. We're transitioning from the drawing to actual data structure. So if we go back to the sheet, the way that the information here is, this is a visual representation of what you're trying to find out. So this is more of a drawing, I would say. And I don't mean that in any, like, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. Like it's like it's a visual layer, right? And so there's some drawbacks from that visual layer where when something doesn't meet the conditions that you're trying to create, there are empty spaces, there are blanks. And that's actually one of the things that Airtable really does really well, is it helps you get rid of a lot of blanks in your sheets. Which I really prefer, because I just zone out when I see blank fields, and then I miss the core information that I need to look at. So instead of me needing to watch out for, oh, that's unavailable, instead what I can see is, if Aaron, if you add, I don't know, like, so go back to this and just delete feature 3 and feature 4, right?
The whole records like this?
The whole records, exactly. And then make feature 6 standard or optional. Right. So like, I don't have to go through line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then skip through blanks in Airtable to say that 3 and 4 are unavailable. I can just see that they don't exist for this specific record. And now I know that these are the only things that are available. And if I'm trying to sell, or if I'm trying to compare with someone else, they can easily see that comparison that doesn't exist.
So a few more things here, actually. So you mentioned grouping, right? So let's imagine I'm continuing that kind of, I don't know if this is where you were going, but let's say I give a few more options. What I can then do, I can group by the model, right? So if I'm looking at a specific model, I can see which features. So I'm actually recreating this line, but instead of showing it for like every single brand, I'm actually grouping it in a similar way where I can instinctively see
what
grouped by.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
And this is what I've always talked to my customers about, like, this is how sheets get super, super long horizontally. And I've even had, super long horizontally. I mean, really, you want to have not as little fields as possible, but figure out how your information should be structured so that, one, you're only capturing what you need to in fields, and the only fields that are ever blank are binary fields. So a checkbox, a yes or a no field, or something like that, because you want to make sure that, like, the table structure that you have captures the right information or the right details about each object, and you really shouldn't be leaving anything blank. Of course, there are times when you will, but more so, that's how we're kind of getting rid of those blanks. And you'll see as we continue, the sheet will be much longer, because we're going to be repeating features multiple times, because instead of one feature being one line in this, instead it's a feature model combination. So we're doing math of saying, okay, well, if there's 6, I actually don't know this math, I always forgot it, is like, if it's 6 models and there are 6 features, does that mean you're gonna have 36 lines? Yeah.
Yes, I think so. So you pick one and then you pick one from the other, but there might be a question. I should know this. I studied math, but on the stream, my math goes to a secondary level. Okay. So now we're like, I get this. What should we do? Another concatenate here?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. And would you recommend just kind of put like the same thing, right? So we're concatenating the model
Hmm.
with a little like that
In the future.
feature.
And the one
Do we
thing that
want
you want to remember about join
availability?
tables,
No, I don't need
oh no,
availability.
okay, just feature. The one thing you
Yeah.
want to remember about join tables is that join tables only work when when the the model, what am I saying? Like the linked records are single linked records only. So we don't want to make them
Right.
multiple here. We're trying to isolate the relationship from one to one, from when we had many to many in models and features. There are many models can have many different features, and many features can have many different models. What we're trying to do is isolate that many relationships so that there's a one cohesive line across on each record. So
Yeah.
in Airtable, in the what are we calling that? The customization options, Aaron. You can
Yes.
actually
Features.
say,
Features. Yeah.
no, in the customization options for a field in Airtable itself.
Oh, right. Sorry.
It, or
Yeah.
a linked record,
Right.
you can
Boom.
say, I don't want to allow linking to multiple records. So someone can even, once you structure this, you can make sure that someone can't even make that mistake, and your junction table will always be structured in a way that gets, make sure that you isolate that relationship, that this is a one-to-one relationship.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. I know junction tables are, this is the crux. Uh, um, so the reason, the first I got to try, do junction tables make sense? So I just want to just try, if so Ethan, you're asking, why is it important to have only one linked record? Is, again, not again, but like, what you're trying to say is, for this car and this feature, what is the availability, right? So if we had multiple cars and then that one feature, we're not isolating each one by one, and so we're not talking about the intersection between the two tables, right?
Yeah.
So if you were thinking of saying like, okay, well, these two models have the same function set, it's okay to just add the rows anyway, because then when someone pulls up that model, they'll be able to pull up that feature's specific availability. So I think it'll be clearer as we build like what we're building towards, which is like, this car, show me the features that relate to that car, and then be able to select the ones that make sense. Right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Um, that's
Okay.
okay. So,
So
Aaron, can you go back to features, the features field? Or I mean, to the features
I,
table?
Victoria, I hate to break it to you, folks can't see what you're drawing on my screen. I'm really sad
Aw,
about that. So
aw.
Victoria's been doing these great drawings and highlighting things, and I'm really impressed. But unfortunately, the way we've got Zoom set up here, folks can't see it. But next week we'll make it happen.
Okay. I just use I've been using it all day. It's my favorite thing ever. So from our build, we can see um, from features, uh, and so this is the models table is our old table. And Aaron, we actually want to delete them. Actually, we don't want to delete the models table. We want to turn it into a lookup. So right now, that models table is based on when we created this earlier, and we said,
Right,
okay,
this
well,
right here.
the natural instinct is to connect models to features. We should
Right.
actually delete that field. And when you delete a field, a linked record field, the reciprocal relationship, it just turns it into, it doesn't delete it on the other side, it turns it into
A single line text, yeah.
single line text. But if we actually wanted to see, okay, which models have feature one, we can still do that. And how we would do that is we would create a linked record, sorry, not a linked record, a lookup field in the features table, and we call it models. And then we'd look up from our builds what models have that feature. So here, if we look up, nope, models here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
So here we can actually still get that information back of, okay,
Right.
Aaron, actually, like I said, I was actually overcomplicating it, like I told you I would. If you just go to models, can you just call the models the name? We don't need to actually create a junction name for models. That was for the junction table. I was just thinking, getting ahead of myself.
So just remove the name here.
It should just be a single line text. We should just call it. Yeah, we should just call it car name 1, car name 2, car name 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, we're okay.
Sorry.
So card name. So I'm gonna turn this into a single line text. So talk to us through like what I think you're doing a few mental leaps here.
Yeah. So what I was thinking was, the annoying part about join tables is all of a sudden your what am I trying to say? Your table, your record names make no sense anymore because it's a stream of this name plus this name plus this name plus this name, and so
Right.
it's helpful when your information is as like clean as possible. So here, like, um, Aaron, call the first one an accord. This is just going to help me because the 1, 2, 3 is confusing at the point.
Right.
An accord. Call this a lancer. This here car two,
Oh, okay. Sorry. A lancer.
and call the other one an Escalade. That's just going to help me so much
Sure.
more. Okay. And then now you'll see over in the build, we can see, okay, quickly, the Accord has feature one, the Accord is feature one,
Two.
the Accord feature two, Accord feature
Got
five.
it.
And then if we
Got
go
it.
back to, if we go to features, we can see that for feature one, the models that feature one is on is the Accord and the Lancer. Yeah, heated car seats, right? Air conditioning, power windows. Love it.
Yeah, this does help.
Yeah.
Uh,
So now we can quickly see that, and you can even hide your junction table is really a functional table, and
right.
so we can actually hide that junction field if we wanted to, in
You mean
features
this?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
in
hide
build,
this one.
hide build, right? And so I have that nice neat kind
Right.
of relationship that I was trying to get from the very beginning of all I want to know is which models have which features, but
Right.
I can do it in such a way where I have the extra information of, well, on the Accord, it's optional, and on the Lancer, it's standard.
Okay. So I think culminating here, or now imagine like, okay, I want a quote. So I don't know if I'm gonna be right. I think about like, what do I want to buy? Right. So I come in. I want an Accord with heated seats or whatever is optional. So how do we do two things? How do we structure a quote? Right. So I know there's going to be like, I want to do this simply because we've done a lot already here.
Yes.
And I feel like I'm throwing a wrench into your plans here, maybe. But imagine we now wanted to say, okay, this model with these features for you will cost this much.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
You do.
Yeah, I do. So what I want to know is like this model, what this to me is like, this is a template right now. Of like we
Yes.
know that all Accords have this, but your Accord
My
is
Accord.
is different, and your Accord can have whatever you want based on what's available. So
Yes.
in your world or in your mind, would we be creating a new table for custom builds? So like this is, instead of calling this build, instead of calling the build table build, it should more be like standards or like feature sets or
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
for me, right, like not all Accords are going to have this, right? So, oh, you're saying that this is, so, okay, you're kind of thinking of like, we always sell this Accord, right?
That's what I was wondering, or I was saying
I,
this is every single that Accord on line one is an Accord. These are all of the features that could ever be possible with an Accord, all of the standard features and all of the optional features. And then if
right,
you wanted to create your own Accord, you
right,
would choose from the standard and the you would choose features.
right.
You would get all of the standard features no matter what, and then you could
Yes,
choose which optional features you wanted.
that is correct.
Okay. And to do that, I was wondering, should we do that in another table? Is that considered to you a completely custom object, or is it still a model?
So I have a lot of things I have to say. Around, I have never bought a car. I have never been in a car dealership.
All right, think about buying a keyboard. Just think about it as a keyboard.
I
Right? What switches do you want? what base chassis, is that what they call them now? What are the
yeah.
key? What do we call those?
Key
The button
caps, key
keycap,
switches.
right? And so like you could have your, so it could be a Durgod keyboard but it's
You're really, I think you're overestimating. This is the only keyboard I've ever built, and frankly, I bought one of those like kits, right? It was just like, here's everything you need, and I think that's exactly how I would buy a car. It'd be like, I'd come in and they'd see me from like a mile away, and they'd be like, this dude is, we're gonna make so much money off of this dude. I just come in and be like, I want a car. That's it. That's all I know. It's gotta have 4 wheels, right? Ideally, it works for a while. Okay, so I think, and Cedric, let me know if this makes sense. I think we can add a quote builder, right? That's how I think about it. Where like you come in, I want this car. These are the options. Here's like the base price, and it spits out a price based on what I've selected.
yeah.
Does that make
So
sense?
I think there's a table called quotes then. Yeah. And
Okay.
it said awesome.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think we don't need more. Okay, quotes. All right, quotes. So then you could have a clients table. We're not going to do a clients table, but we could.
Here's
But we're
how
not
it
gonna-
goes. Yeah, this is perfect. We're building the app. This is exactly right, Aaron. You could totally have a
Right.
client.
Not going to do
So-
that. Okay. Tell me.
So no, but you totally parted the waters. This makes sense now. Quotes is where we want to go. So a quote is a model of a car, right? No. There's one more table
Why? Why is there one more table?
because you could have each record is going to be an individual quote, right? And each quote can have a number of options for a specific model.
Options for a specific model. Yes, but I think we're going to have a base price, right? We're going to have a base price.
Okay.
And then we're going to have a model. And then for that model, we're going to go and get the builds. And those are going to have each individual prices.
Got it. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Almost. But I think I have to see it. But I like where you're going.
Well, let's build it. We're not. It's not like there's hundreds of people watching.
Yeah.
You know, it's just us, Victoria. Let's figure it out.
Let's go.
Okay. So we're first saying what model.
Yep.
So we're linking to models. Whoops. And you're only buying one car at a time.
Yep.
And then we're saying features, right? What features do you want?
But we're getting
But it would be builds. We're getting it from builds. Builds.
You're going to have fun with this one. Oh, Airtable.
Okay. Am I wrong about how I'm structuring this?
No, what you're going to see is something that is it's what I wish Airtable did but doesn't do, right? So if you choose an Accord, when you go choose your features, you're going to get everybody's features.
But I can just but listen. Okay. Let's just say like this is much better than a sheet. Okay?
Yeah,
like yes, for what Victoria, for everyone, like what Victoria is complaining about is that there's no conditional formatting based on what you just selected, right? So we know that it's an Accord, so only show me, that junction table that's for the Accord. I think, Cedric, correct me if I'm wrong, your users will not mind having to write the word Accord to pull up the right features. And what's cool about them, say that again?
I have very particular people who care a lot about this. So it's just a little bit of PTSD, but you are very right.
But so just if and just generally what you could do as well is create a structure that's a little different that automatically includes the standard options, right? Mm-hmm. And then you only select through the optional ones. In this case, you're going to have to click a few times to say, okay, I want,
Aaron,
right? So
I think we could do it. I think you could make a lookup of all of the standard options that come, right? And then you can make a linked record of all of the.
Oh, so you would say this is, okay, you're saying that there's we would create a linked record of standard and then look up on that. I don't want to do that for time's essence.
Yeah.
But you're right. And this is just, again, I hope, Cedric, what we've imparted on you is that play around with the structure that you want, and whatever kind of position you find yourself in, you can restructure it to say, I want it to always include all standard ones when I click. In this case, we're just going to go with what is, very simple, but you can level up as you go, as I like to say on webinars, and you can build and create your way. Okay. So what we're saying, what I did is I went to the Accord and I'm saying this person wants the full set, right? Wants the standard, the optional, but you can say, okay, we're negotiating. They don't want the optional, remove it. And it's no longer part of that quote.
Right.
So how do I get a price?
I think the price is on the features.
There are prices on features. Yeah. So, okay. So the prices are, regardless of whether you're buying an Accord or a Lancer, it's going to be always the same price.
I don't know. Sorry. I meant the prices on the build. Sorry.
Prices or on the bill at the junction. You're right. I do think air conditioning are going to cost differently depending on what car, right? So we're going to have a price here.
And so that's what I was saying. What I was thinking about was, could we do a roll up? So we can create a base price, like at a roll up from all of the standard features, and each standard feature has a price. So if you do it, if you do a currency feature, or sorry, currency field, yeah. And we say price, and so we price out these features.
Say 50, 75. I know that these are not real car prices, but I don't.
Right. Okay. So then I'm trying to figure out how we can where the base price should be in the quote. So if you take the quote and we're getting to be from the model.
So you're right that you should. Okay, we're gonna do this, and I'm sorry, we are just base nerds, and we have to do it right.
Yeah.
So you're right. So let's roll up. Let's give it a base price, which is, base without. No, actually, we should have a base price.
Base price is from our build, which is our junction table for features and model, and we're gonna roll it up because roll up lets us do a sum calculation on it, and then we're gonna say we only want to roll up standard features.
Yes. So we're gonna go to build. We're going to roll up the price, but we're only going to roll up those where
availability is standard.
But we also have to only roll up those that are of this model.
But we're in models, so it's fine.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. We saved that, but then, we forgot the sum. Yeah. So we're saying sum values.
So that's going to be our base price that we can.
But just for the features. But we need to add we need to add a base price for the car.
Oh, true. Well, I just thought the cars just have its features. Yeah.
It's like free, right?
Yeah.
So we're saying, okay, this is like, let's say 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. So what we're saying is that
your base price can actually be features. So in your roll up.
In my roll up, I can add base price.
Yep. Right. I've
never done this. I've never done add a field in the roll up, which is would think I would have done it, but I haven't. There you go. Okay, so we don't need this.
So now no, you absolutely.
Oh shit, I do. Yeah, sorry.
But you can just kind of like hide it. So we might need to call it something different. But then in quotes, now you can pull up the base price from the model that you chose.
To look up.
Yeah. And then what you can actually do is from features, we need to create a view called optional features.
Yes. Man, this is going to be dope. I know where this is going. It's going to be dope. So we're creating a view here. So essentially we're like going off, but people aren't following us essentially. But what we're saying, an annoying part is that you select the Accord, and then when you click plus here, let me just remove all of these. Not only do I get all of them, I also get those that are standard. And why do I need to select those are always included? We won't need to do that. We're only going to show the optional because we know that the standard are included in the base price.
Exactly.
So I'm going to create a view that only shows optional features. and then we're going to go into quotes, and we're
We
going to
gotta,
say,
we gotta filter it first.
oh shit.
So this
Filter
feature, we're gonna filter by availability, is just optional.
is not, is not, is standard, is optional. We only want the optional ones.
Exactly.
Right.
And then now
Okay.
if we go back to quotes and we configure our field. We did this, I think, last stream, but it's one of my favorite things, obviously, is we can limit our record selection to a view. So now when we click optional features, we can go ahead, and when we try to add features this time, we'll enter in a chord, and the only things that we're getting are optional features. And so now we can have a field called add-ons where...
Right, so this is add-ons. This makes more sense, yeah.
Well, no, this is, oh yeah, whatever it is. So we can say add-ons, and then we can say add-on price, and then we'll get total price. So
right, but we haven't set a, we do have a price here. We do have a price. Okay, so now we're saying go take for each linked record that is here.
Yes.
And then get the price and sum them, which is a roll up. Yep. So we're going to do total price.
No, this, yeah, we can do total price. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think we're there. We just messed everyone up anyway. We're going to do roll ups and sums in one. We don't care anymore.
Add-ons.
So we're getting the add-ons. We want the price. We want the sum of those values. So the sum of every single selection plus base price.
Yeah, exactly. Save it.
Boom.
Boom. So your Lancer plus time travel is costing you $15,000. That's a great one. I love that one.
So maybe I just want to do it one more time for folks. Like the Escalade has no, so let's just kind of go imagine like, okay, we're adding, we haven't set up features. So go to all features. I can show, wait, I need to create features that are related to,
go back to your build. And so then we want to, we're grouped.
Why we're grouped. Oh, another, I know, I hear you. Don't say it. So we're saying here's the Escalade.
Right.
The features on the Escalade, they have heated car seats. Escalade again. They also have, multi-exhaust. This one is standard and this one is optional. And this one costs $500. This one costs $750.
We need a base price for the Escalade because I don't know if we added one.
Yeah, we do $20,500.
Awesome.
Right, so we go to quote. We're saying, okay, what is one last thing before we do that, because I do want to do just the name of the client.
Yeah.
Right. Oops. That's annoying. We're getting there, folks. I appreciate your patience.
We're there. Yeah.
We're so there. So Victoria and Victoria 2, you obviously get an Escalade.
Thank you.
You get an Escalade. So what we see is the base price. So if you don't want any options, you've got the base price. You could, send that off. And then you say no, I want the multi-exhaust. And that updates the price. Woo! All right, that gets a little bit of this.
I mean, imagine a page designer, right?
Yes.
You itemize all of your stuff, the base, and then here are the add-ons, and there you go. There's your invoice. There's your quote.
Exactly. So I think just as a follow-up here, right? Just like thinking about this, like changing things is much easier because if your base price, it's unique. If your build price, it's unique. Where you can go from here is, automations. So let's say you have a quote. It's been a week since you've sent that quote. You can follow up with the client. You can follow up with the salesperson. You can order your quotes by commission. Really, like the world, it becomes your oyster at that point. And then additionally, as Victoria just said, like let's say we want a quote creator, right? We can use Page Designer to like put the car, an image of the car, even the options, the name of the client, a kind of summary of everything that's in that invoice. You could then connect your Airtable base to WordPress or to Webflow or to whatever it is that you show off your camper vans in. And honestly, if you're a car dealership runs on Airtable, I will buy a car at your dealership. That is my rule. I do not buy cars from any car dealerships that do not run on Airtable. So yeah, that was it. Hopefully this was useful. I do want to
Yeah,
share a link.
this is awesome. I'm really excited about this. Is actually really relevant to some internal things I've been talking about at Airtable. Junction tables are powerful. They're irritating, but they really get you where you want to be. Right here, we were able to do exactly what we went set out. We were going to do at the beginning of the stream, which was we're going to help you build your own quote and get your total price and get a nice way and a nice repeatable way. And we did that pretty easily, all with Airtable standard features. No scripting today, Aaron.
Yeah, no, maybe next week. But I'll end by saying, Cedric, if you build your whole quoting system in Airtable, I will entertain the idea of buying an RV. But the first step is you migrating. And I hope that migration in a couple months might, bring you so much joy of less annoyance that you'll forget that I promised you I'd buy you a car. Okay. Well, we'll be back next week for folks. We're going to do I forget, the use case is actually someone buying aerial survey equipment, which just feels like something I want to create a base for.
Absolutely.
Right? So we're going to do that next week. Really appreciate all of you joining today. Hope you'll follow so you get a notification when we go live, which is the easiest way to know when we do this. We're going to be back next week. I might do a little surprise show with Voiceflow or Data Fetcher. I do have a few scheduling things, but I do want to bring a second session during the week. With that said, huge thank you, Victoria. Amazing as always. I'm always impressed by your ability to build bases live and
Thanks for
5
having
steps. Things for awesome. We've got someone someone's doing their billing automation. That's awesome.
Based on your effing sweet case study. They're really cool. I really like them.
Yeah, we did a great last week was a really cool automation case where they bring it to Google Docs with Integromat. That's awesome. Stay tuned. We're going to do more of those invoices. I think that's something that invoicing, I think, is a big pain for everyone. And I think, Airtable has a lot of functionality built in, but a lot of things you can build outside that really make it easier. And there's going to be more things that'll come soon. So cool. Well, Victoria, I will see you tomorrow, but for everyone here, I will see you all next week, and I will see Victoria, you next week as well.
All right.
So thanks so much. Thanks, Cedric, for the use case. Thanks everyone for joining. Bye, everyone.